Hi, hello, how are you? I'm Alex. If you're new here, then it's nice to meet you. And if you're coming back, we're best friends now. You know how this goes. Happy New Year, everyone. Usually during the new year, people set up resolutions, like New Year's resolutions, how they want to improve themselves, how they want to change their daily lives, whatever. And one thing I know that's really common and that I've used a lot, especially in the past, is to read more and to spend less time on a screen and pick up more books, you know, especially for people that don't read that much and aren't that into reading. They're like, how do I read more? I want to read more books. So I made this video just for you. And I'm just going to share a bunch of tips that help me to read more and that get me more excited to pick up a book and more likely to pick up a book. And yeah, let's just get started. My number one thing for how to read more is to quit early. I am a big believer in DNFing books. DNF is do not finish. There's no point in continuing to read a book that you are not enjoying. If you're not liking the book, if you are reluctant to pick it up, if it makes you not want to read and every time you read it, you like it less and less, stop reading the book. Quit the book. There is no point in spending time with a book that you don't enjoy. There's so many books that you would like better and that you probably want to read. So don't waste your time on a book you're not enjoying. And that's not to say that you'll never read it or you'll never finish it. Like, you can always go back to it and try again, you know? Like, 100 Years of Solitude took me 4 tries. First 3 times, it was just not meant to be. And then the 4th time, I liked it and I actually got through it. So yeah, quit early. Another really good tip that I heard and that I use a lot and I've been using for so long is to always have a book with you. Like, always have it with you on hand. When you commute, for example, if you take the subway, have a book with you because you will be more likely to sit and read it for that 20 minutes, whatever, that you would just otherwise be staring off into the distance. Or when you're waiting in line, or when you're waiting to get your name called at an appointment. Even if you drive, you can listen to audiobooks. You don't have to read books with your eyes. Audiobooks are a great way to get into reading. And that's my 3rd tip. Audiobooks. Audiobooks are a really great way to get into reading, especially if you don't feel like you have the patience to read. I have a lot of friends that struggle to actually get into reading books, but they really, really like listening to audiobooks because it just works for them. They're able to do something else while they're listening to the book and get more immersed in the story. And honestly, when you're reading an audiobook or you're listening to an audiobook that's narrated by the author, so good. It's just, you really hear the story in the way that it's meant to be told. Another really good tip is to replace time that you spend doing other things with reading. So, do you normally scroll on your phone after you wake up or the 30 minutes before bed, or both? How about put your phone away from your bed, keep a book by your bedside table, and get into the habit of reading for 30 minutes before bed or reading for 30 minutes in the morning. I actually like to wake up a little bit earlier than I have to so that I can actually spend like 30 minutes to an hour sitting with my book in the morning and with my coffee and with my breakfast, and it's a really great way to start the day. I feel like I spend less time like in bed and I feel less reluctant to start the day when I have a book that I'm excited to read. Another really good tip, which seems so obvious and yet so many of us don't listen to, is to create a reading environment that has no distractions. Put your phone away. Turn it on silent. Just put it on your desk, put it in another room, whatever, and just sit down and read. Like, it's fine if someone messages you, it's fine if you miss a call, it's fine if you miss a social media notification. Just dedicate that time to your book, because if you don't have your phone next to you, you're less likely to just pick it up and mindlessly scroll, and then suddenly 2 hours passed and you don't know where the time went. You'll just spend it in that book, and it's just a better way to immerse yourself in the reading experience, because then you get less distracted and you get more into the story and you actually find yourself reading more and maybe even quicker without distractions. Next, get a library card. Library cards are the best thing ever. You do not need to own books to love reading books. You really don't. A lot of people can't afford books. Books are expensive. Sometimes even used books are expensive. I get it. I love my library card. With it, you can borrow audiobooks, you can borrow ebooks, and you can borrow physical books. It's fantastic. If you have an e-reader and you download the app Libby, you can read ebooks on your phone or on your e-reader, which is great. With Libby, you can also listen to audiobooks, which is so much fun, and you can like alter the speed, and there are bookmarks, and you can like auto turn it off, and everything is separated into chapters, so it makes it a really easy reading experience. And I have really gotten into audiobooks in 2021, and I have so many that are on hold that I'm looking forward to reading this year. So get a library card, use it in whichever way you want. They're great. It just makes you excited to read more, because you'll put a book on hold and then suddenly it like shows up at your library and you can go pick it up and you're really excited about it because you've been wanting to read it for a while but it wasn't ready yet. It's great. It's fun. It's so much fun. Another great tip that I really struggled with for a while, but a lot of people suggested it to me quite often, and that's read multiple books at a time. And that's not to say like literally have 2 books in your hand and read them at once. Obviously not. Have a bunch of books on hand. So I like to read a fiction and a non-fiction at the same time. And I also will have like an audiobook on hand. So like if I'm working and I'm doing like work that doesn't involve thinking, I'll listen to my audiobook. But then before bed, I'll read my physical book. And then when I'm feeling like learning something, I'll read my non-fiction book. It's a really great way to get yourself into reading, because you will read different things depending on your mood, and sometimes you're not in the mood for a nonfiction. So if you're just reading a nonfiction, you'll never want to pick up your book. But if you're reading a nonfiction and a fiction, and you're not in the mood for the nonfiction, you can just read the fiction story. Easy peasy. Another great way to get into reading is to not just look for books by like looking at an entire library of books, because that can get super overwhelming. I'm a very big mood reader, so I like looking for lists that are very specific to certain subjects. That makes it easier to add new books to my list and to figure out what I want to read next and what I should borrow from the library or what I should go pick up from my used bookstore. And it just makes it a lot less overwhelming to find what you're looking for. So like if you're interested in plants, you can look up great nonfiction books about plants. If you like fantasy, you can look up Best Fantasy of 2021 or Best Fantasy with Female Protagonists, depending on what you're interested in. And lastly, another really great way to get into reading is to share what you read. I found that a lot more people are interested in what I'm reading than I actually think they are. Like, I was like, oh, no one cares what I'm reading, but a while ago I started posting the books that I read with their reviews on Instagram, and so many people told me that they love those stories. Like, they love to see what I'm reading, they love to get recommendations through what I'm reading depending on what they like. And then eventually I started this channel, and it's just so much fun to get excited about what you're reading and share that with people that also enjoy listening to what you have to say and also enjoy reading. So I find that if you talk more about what you read and you share what you read with others, you get a little more excited about reading, and it's like, oh, like I'm excited to talk about what I'm reading next, or I'm excited to hear what that person has to say about the book that they're reading, and then maybe I'll read it, you know? Anyway, this was kind of a disorganized, rambly kind of video, but I hope you guys found it helpful, because I know that a lot of people want to read more and they have no idea how, and it's really hard to start when you don't know where to start. So yeah, I hope that these tips are helpful. I hope that you can use them. You can pass them on to a friend that wants to read more and you're like, I don't know what to tell them to do. Like, I just pick up a book and read. And yeah, happy reading. Good luck. Bye-bye.